And we're live.
Instagram, how you doing?
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to another Horological Happy Hour. I'm Rob. I'm Tom Justin. This is Rob. It's been a long day.
Are you sure?
We made it, though. We made it. So thanks for joining us, guys. We're, as you can see, we have a lot of watches in front of us today. We kind of thought it would be fun to do something, similar to what we've done in the past a little bit. We're going to do the baller versus the budget option for a whole bunch of different categories.
And our categories here are really kind of interesting because we have some things here that are like brand specific, and then we have some things here that are a little bit broader in scope. So in some cases, we're going to be comparing two watches from the same brand. And in some places, we're going to be comparing watches from two different brands that kind of do a similar thing.
Right. So we actually got some cool suggestions, which, we tried to include. If there are any others, throw them in the comments and we'll do our best to grab stuff. We're, just FYI, we have a little bit of a skeleton crew here this week. We had some sickness roll through, and we're going to do our best, though. So
before we get started,
yes.
Let us test.
Well, wait. Before we get started, again, we're going to make it a happy...
It should be a happy hour. But we now should have the top down.
Cheers, my friend.
Salud.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Let's grab a watch.
And let's see if that actually works.
And hey!
There we go. Look at that, guys. Nice quality.
Living in the 20th century. Can you guys see that?
I'm going to pull it up on here so I can take a look.
All right, cool. So, bring it back to us. David. And where do we start? Any comments, anything?
I'm working on it.
I should get on. I can look myself because my phone is now not needed.
So why don't we start with... Well, why don't we go to that front left corner, Rob? Right in front of you, all the way to the front. We're going to go with AP Royal Oaks.
Start with Royal Oaks.
Yeah, why not?
I like it. All right. So, we should start with the budget.
Yep.
And bear in mind, when we talk about budget and when we talk about bank busters like these, there's a big scale here, right?
Oh,
there's a big scale. Like at some point, we're going to do tourbillons, and there really isn't a budget tourbillon. But
there is. We just don't happen to have one.
Oh, there is.
There's
I guess
tag
right
for
there is. There's the tag. I think Ming makes a tourbillon now,
really?
so there are some budget turbies out there, but. Regardless, there's no there's no $5,000 tourbillon.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
Right.
So
this is all relative, obviously.
Take these terms with a grain of salt. So in the AP world, you're interested in the Royal Oak. You're looking for that iconic presence on the wrist.
Yep.
But you maybe don't have the budget for where the modern stuff is selling, where some of the bigger stuff is selling. Where do you go? You go here.
So here we go. We have a 14790 steel with a white dial. So this is the 37 millimeter mid-size that was introduced in the 80s, I believe. This one, I want to say, this is a full set. This is a really nice example. And this one, for reference, we're listing for $23,900.
I really like these. These are slim. These are elegant. See if I can get this on my wrist and in focus. I'm afraid that's upside down. I apologize for that.
It's okay.
But I think you still get an idea. I've got a 7-inch wrist, so I'm kind of right smack in the middle of most things. And this is the one I would wear. You wear a 4100 ST, which is the same dimensions, I think.
It's a little smaller.
But I'm a big fan of this. I think that's a great look. I think especially if you wear shirt cuffs or something like that, if you can, thanks. If you wear shirt cuffs or something like that, this fits easily under the cuff. It's beautifully slim. It's a really, really good Royal Oak. And I don't even think of it as like the budget option.
No.
I just think of it as like a cool vintage Royal Oak that you can get at a super fair price.
I mean, and like you were saying as well, it's really not a budget, that almost comes with like a negative connotation, but obviously, from what we have on this table, like there's nothing, there are no bad options here. But
right, and it's not to say that it's entry level.
No.
I hate that term.
I know,
I hate that, and I understand why people use it, and I understand why it is, a good way to describe something,
Sure.
to talk about like the entry level Journe or the entry level paddock. But I think at the end of the day, when you talk about companies like we're talking about here, the quality is still there.
Yeah.
It's not like you're losing on quality. It's not like you're losing on what makes that watch what it is. You're simply maybe having less complications, or maybe having a steel case. Or
I think
something like
the
that.
whole idea for this whole hour is just to show you that there are, if there is a design that you like, there is a piece available at the price point that works for you. You know what I mean? There's all different options. So again, like even, with a 14790, even if the 15202, the 39 mil is just like a little bit too big for your wrist, like it is for mine, you get the exact same feel and the exact same effect with, a 14790 or a 4100 ST, at a much lower price point. So
I was testing out the camera to make sure we're in focus, and
that looks ridiculously good.
David jumped the gun here, so we've kind of given away the store on what our budget-busting Royal Oak is. Go ahead, go back to it.
He's
so
on it, he's on it.
here
Sorry.
we are.
The baller option right there.
The rainbow. And we've all seen the rainbows from Rolex, and I think those are fairly well known in the marketplace. I feel like these, they don't have the same level of visibility, which is kind of neat. But it's the same kind of idea where you have these wonderful gradient sapphires going all around, and they've kept that octagonal bezel, and they've kept the screws there, which I think is a very cool idea that you still get. And they're still white gold, which is really interesting. You still have the white gold screws that secure the bezel to it, which is such an iconic part of the Royal Oak aesthetic. And this one also featuring a pave dial and baguette hour markers as well. This is everything all at once.
Yeah, I mean, like you already said, that kind of graduated sapphire, bezel in the colors of the rainbow, the full pave dial. Then you have baguette hour markers on top of the pave dial in full rose gold. Like, this thing is absolutely amazing. And you're right. It's, I feel, you don't see these as much. You definitely see more rainbow Daytonas and whatnot, kind of on social media and, in photos and things. You never see these. This is the 15413OR, just for reference. And just to give you an idea of how baller this baller watch is, price point is $219,900. So we went from $23,900 to $219,900. So yeah, it's a pretty unbelievable piece. Super few of them are made. They only get offered to top AP clients. So it's cool that we get to have one and get to share it with you guys.
An interesting recommendation here in terms of the budget Royal Oak. We have the 56303 in quartz, even slimmer, cheaper, and looks better.
Come on, man, looks better. Get out of here.
Oh, we have some Tourbillon recommendations as well.
Yeah, I saw those. We're not even going to give him the satisfaction of reading what he just suggested on air.
No, I don't think we will. We will. All right, so
let's move on.
APs in all of their wildness. So now I think,
where you want to go?
let's go pilot watches.
Go for it.
Let's go from something brand specific to something that's a little bit more open.
Sure, yeah.
So pilot watches, first thing I think of is IWC.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they built a brand on pilot watches.
I mean,
right?
Their flagship model is called the Big Pilot. So
right.
Yes, I agree.
The Pilot and the Portuguese is really what made IWC, and they have many things that are really good. The new Ingenores are really spectacular. There are some Portofinos that are really nice. The vintage collection Portofinos are good. But
those are good.
Ultimately, IWC is about the pilot watches and the Portuguese. So when we started thinking about pilot watches, the first place we went was, as Justin said, the IWC Big Pilot.
This is the 43 mil.
This is the 43. This is a release from
last year,
a year or two ago. Yeah, it's very, very recent. It keeps the Big Pilot aesthetic. You still get the large diamond crown, which I always really liked on this. You get the pilot hands, the long second hand. You lose the 7-day movement, which to me is not a big deal.
No.
I don't need 7 days of power
Well,
reserve.
especially if it's going to give it, if I'm going to get the same watch in a 4mm smaller case,
Right.
it doesn't have a
And
7-day
ultimately,
movement, that's fine.
it's automatic.
Exactly.
So if you're wearing it, it's really not an issue. And you lose the date on this one, which I think some people will say like, oh man, but how will I know when I'm signing my contracts what the date is? But to me, date is not a game changer in that way. This is the steel with the blue dial. They also do a ceramic Top Gun version, and they do a titanium Spitfire that's really cool as well.
Yeah, the whole line is really nice.
What's the price on these?
So this is $72.50. So again, like we've said it a million times, but IWC is a ton of watch for the money. I mean, IWC, JLC, a few others, like you get a ton of watch for the price point.
I love the fact, and you guys might actually be able to see this now that we have a real camera here. This is not like thick as 2 bricks, which the original Big Pilot, I've always loved the visual appeal of the original Big Pilot, but I've never been able to wear it because it's just so thick. The 46 or 47 mil, whatever it is not that bad, but the height on that thing is massive. And on these, it's much standard. This would fit under a cuff. This works really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a little bit ridiculous for wearing with a suit or something like that.
No way. Go to the regular camera.
I don't know.
You'd take me seriously.
I never take you seriously,
You'd
but that's
take
okay.
me seriously. I was wearing this.
You
with
still
jacket
need to have a decent sized wrist
all right.
to pull that off. But it's a great piece. It's a good watch. So again, $72.50 is kind of what we're calling the budget option. And now going to the complete opposite end of the spectrum,
the other side of things.
Yeah, we're gonna go with the Patek 5520 in platinum. So this is kind of like the Mac Daddy of Patek's Pilot line, which you have the 5524, you have the new 5234. I'm trying to think what else, Rob.
5924.
5924.
5924 is the chrono,
right?
And you have the
5224, the original.
and then the limited 5522.
Yes. So anyways, this is again 5520 in platinum. This is Patek's Pilot watch, but it is also a travel time alarm.
This is a Grand Comp.
Yes.
This is sorry for fingerprints. Instagram.
Okay,
got my
happen.
chamois here, so we're good. You can see them now because we're in high definition. So this watch is really incredible. It was super polarizing when it came out. A lot of people were like Frankenstein because of all the
knobs,
the wild, oversized crowns. Yeah, I guess knobs, plebeian, but okay. But what an interesting watch because I've never heard of somebody making an alarm that sounds like a repeater.
Right.
When you chime this dings like a repeater.
Right.
And
Well,
it's got
again,
repeater gongs in the back
thank
here.
you. Robert, you're just telling everybody everything, not letting me get a word in edgewise, my friend. Wow.
Did you want to talk?
I mean, I thought about it,
did
but
you
no.
want to talk?
You continue. Keep talking about gongs. Go ahead.
I know about gongs.
Go ahead. Keep telling the people about the gongs.
So yeah, you can see how there's like a space around the movement there where the rotor is moving, and you can't see it on the camera, but within that same space, right here, nope, can't get the angle. Sorry, there it is. There's a hammer right there that strikes the gong and makes a lovely chime. Do you know how to set this off?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Like to set off the thing. I don't remember which crown.
I don't remember which crown it is either.
because I haven't played with this one very much.
Thanks for making me look dumb in front of everybody. That's
Well.
fun. Yeah, actually, I think I do know how to set this.
Yeah.
Give me one sec
So
here.
you get a travel time,
you keep talking,
and
I'll
you
try
get
and-
the alarm on that, which I don't think anybody's ever. I'm trying to think of another watch that kind of puts that together. I guess you do have some watches that have like a dual time function with the alarm, like that Breguet, and there's a Blancpain that have that, but they have that traditional kind of alarm
exactly.
versus the chiming
Yeah,
alarm.
like the
which
JLC
hopefully we
Deep Sea,
can
the
set that off for
Memovox,
you.
those are, that's
So,
the more traditional.
I'm going to steal your pad
Go right
while
ahead.
you're doing that, and
Go
I
right
will
ahead.
say that we went from $72.50 on the IWC, and then if you wanted the Pilot watch that almost does it all, you're looking at $173,500, which actually surprisingly is below retail.
What is
Patek
retail?
is higher than that.
Really?
Patek retail is 2 something on this watch.
Wow, I had no idea.
This watch is currently trading below retail, which to me was
For a
really
Patek Grand Comp
surprising.
is pretty crazy.
A Grand Comp, I'm pretty sure that it's application. I don't think you can just walk in and buy
think
one of
you're
these. because you get the big folio, you get the glossy picture, you get all of that kind of cool stuff with it. So it's when you, I feel like anytime you get a Patek like that, like be it a 5204 or a this guy or the Cloisonné World Times, and you get that big binder with it, like you're in a different you're in a different club at that
Completely.
point. It's pretty cool.
And I am struggling over here.
All
I
right.
don't know why I'm forgetting. Yeah, go ahead. You talk about something else, and if I can get
We
this
can talk
out-
about something else.
Yeah.
Let us move on. Let's now go. We've done pilot watches. We're doing sport watches. So I'm going to take us to Daytonas.
Cool.
We'll go brand specific. We'll talk about Rolex Daytonas. Everybody likes.
I mean, we talked
Rolex
about
Daytonas.
the Le Mans last week, which was, I wish we still had that because we would just continue to talk about it now because it's an incredible piece.
But we can't still have it. Oh, interesting.
What?
Wrist enthusiast saying Navitimer, the most famous pilot watch. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't.
It's a great. I mean, it's
I think
it's the original.
You know what though? If I said what's the most famous pilot watch to you, what would you actually say?
Most famous
The
pilot?
most
like if you
famous-
if you asked me if you word association pilots watch go, what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of the big pilot.
No, you're not. Because if I say most famous pilot's watch,
I am. Maybe you're not.
No, you're not. Trust me, I know what you're
What do you
thinking.
got? What do you got?
You're thinking it's Rolex GMT.
No, I'm not.
It's got to be a Pepsi GMT.
No, because that is a GMT that was made for pilots. That's not a pilot's watch. I'm not. That's not just semantics. That is.
You almost made me.
I wish I did.
Over like $1 million
I wish I did. No, but come on. A Rolex GMT, a 1675 or a 6542, any variant from 1954 till now, that is a GMT that pilots used. That is not a pilot style watch.
It's a pilot watch. It
Rob,
was made for the pilots of Pan Am.
A pilot's
All
watch.
of the advertisements
style,
have it's like if you were flying the Concorde, you'd wear this watch.
God,
So
my God.
there's a good number of you out in Instagram world
Actually,
there.
hold on.
Give me something.
You
people.
just quoted the if you were flying Concorde. That was
Oh man.
what?
Mr. Enthusiast, thank you for joining us, says no one thinks Rolex GMT when you say
Phil,
pilot's watch.
Thank you. Rob is wrong. I need backup here.
I think that's a pilot's watch.
Okay,
I think of Pan Am. I think of the whole connection there. I think of those old school ads that are super cool. Everyone's got them framed and hanging up.
Sure.
We've got them in the store.
Yeah. You're wrong.
I think Rolex GMT most famous.
Again.
You think Big Pilot because it has pilot in the name. They are throwing shade in the comments.
Jesus.
And I'm here for it as long as it fits you.
I'm dumb. I'm not that dumb though.
I do have to agree with our wrist enthusiast friend that Cartier Santos was really the OG. Oh, another one. Pepsi is definitely not a watch pilots might wear.
Thank you.
Definitely not. No, wait. Pepsi is definitely a watch pilots might wear. Definitely not a pilot's watch. I'm confused by that JSAL 16.
What do you mean you're confused by it? He is saying that a Pepsi is definitely a watch that a pilot might wear. It is not a pilot's watch. He is just saying exactly what I'm saying. You're wrong. The people have spoken. I have multiple people backing me up.
All right.
We're going to move on.
All right, we'll move on. I think this means we have to do a pilot's watch
We do.
episode. Maybe that could be next week.
There you go.
Let us know if you want to see like a pilot's watch roundup next week. We can continue this debate.
All right, moving on to Daytona.
Daytonas. Oh yeah,
somehow
sorry.
we got sidetracked there.
Alas, I digress. So let's talk about Daytonas, the budget and the bankroll. So Daytona on a budget is a tough one, right? Because there's really not a budget Daytona. But if you're looking for a Daytona and you're looking for the best possible value, I'm going here.
Of course. So 116520. This is a. Hold on, let me find the details. I have it written down.
I'm going to let you
This
talk.
is a full set 2000 from 2008. So this is obviously the generation after the Zenith Daytona. With an in-house movement. Rob, the caliber was
4130.
4130. Okay, you tell me.
I think it's the 4130 because I think before that it was the Zenith caliber, which was different.
Right.
But yeah, this is the Rolex caliber, so this is everything post 2000 has this movement and this appearance to it. We have a couple of differences from the ceramic Daytona here, which to continue being spicy, I much prefer.
You prefer the ceramic to this?
No, this to the ceramic.
I agree. I'm
100%.
in full agreement with you here. And just so again, just for reference, so the ask on this is $21,500, and that's for a full set stainless steel white dial Daytona from 2008, $21,500. And again, like,
And the condition's good. It's not like it's beat up or something. It's not like it's broken. I promise.
no, look at the
it's
look
clean.
at the bezel. The bezel is
The
super
bezel
sharp.
on these tell no lies. So when you see nice black enamel numbers like that and everything, that's a nice clean
no
watch.
waviness. Yeah.
You get the good clasp on these. You get the right bracelet. This has the modern clasp versus the Zeniths, where they have the older style without some without the flip lock.
But I mean,
nice
just like an eminently wearable watch. You could wear it every day. You know, I was just talking. We had a collector event here in Boston last night, and I was chatting with David. Switch us for us, and was chatting with a collector, who joined us from Germany, and he, we were just making small talk, whatever, and we're talking about what daily, what our daily wears were, and he said, my daily wear every day, banging around the house, bringing my kids to the park, doing all those, normal everyday things is this exact watch, a 116520. And it's just, you don't have to worry about it. It's got a ton of cachet. It's a very distinctive piece, but it's relatively affordable, and it's just it's a workhorse of like an icon essentially.
I really appreciate how these are a little bit more subtle than the ceramic bezels. I feel like, especially that white Panda, like everybody and their mother knows what that watch is, right? Like Ray Charles can tell you we're in a Daytona. So like those to me, I really appreciate how this feels a little slicker, a little more under the radar. And it's just, to me, it's a very easy watch to wear. So I agree with you daily. So
the baller option.
now you're like, all right, I have my steel Daytona. Maybe you even have your gold Daytona, and you're like, what's next? Yeah. I'm bored. My wrist feels too light. I'm
not getting enough pearls in at the gym, so I need to get a workout in.
Let me make the hands pretty. If you want forearms like Popeye, you buy this watch.
So this,
I think everybody knows where we're going with this.
Yeah, there's only really one way to go. So the 126506,
heavy metal,
the all new platinum Daytona with the baguette diamond indices. Just an insane piece. So we're listing this for $143,000. Like Rob said, it weighs an absolute ton. You're never going to forget that it's on your wrist, but it's just, that super distinctive ice blue dial, which, anybody in the know knows that, only platinum Rolexes get that dial. It still has that brown ceramic bezel. It's just, years ago.
Now you have the brown surrounds on the dial as well, because the previous platinum model, when you had the baguettes, it had just the blue, the ice blue. You didn't get the baguettes. So now you have the baguettes with the brown subs, which a lot of people think is cool because they wanted that Panda-esque look, but with the bags, which I appreciate the bags because they're also kind of subtle. It's not like, obviously, I think the rainbow, like a rainbow Daytona, would have been the ultimate bank buster. We just don't have one in the store. And we were very lucky to have this, which also features the brand new, never before seen Rolex display back.
Except for last week when we showed the Le Mans, but that's okay.
Well, never before seen except for like this year.
Which, to be honest, I don't really need to see Rolex's, movement decoration. That's not why I'm buying a Rolex, but hey, it's a cool little extra feature that is there. So just something new, something different. Put
it on the wrist.
Great.
It wears like a Daytona, just heavier. The weight of this watch should not be understated. It is truly incredible. And it's not big. That's the thing, is it's not a big watch. So then when you pick it up and it weighs like 10 pounds, you're like, holy moly.
So Trevor Cobb asked, does the polish finish of the 116520 show noticeably more wear than the 16520's brushed finish? And the answer is yes. I mean, high polish is always going to be more susceptible to, little, hairlines and scratches than just a brushed finish will, because the brushed finish, David, you want to switch us? The brushed finish will, it just does a better job of hiding, those little kind of, just scuffs and everything,
Just
but
diving marks.
just diving marks, exactly.
However, though, the wonderful thing about Rolex is that the quality of the steel is so high.
Right.
That 904, 914,
904L, yep.
904L is a very, very high quality steel, and it's really hard. So most of the marks that people put in Rolex are superficial.
Right.
They're just surface scratches, and they can be cleaned up really easy without kind of any intense like polishing.
Well, I mean, I was, again, last night I was just having this conversation, at the event where, the beauty of Rolex, like you're saying, is that any, whether it's the factory or any, well-trained, watch technician, who knows their way around, Rolex steel can easily put a factory, not easily, but can very, relatively easily put a factory finish back on Rolex without taking too much material off, without, rounding edges or getting rid of bevels or whatever it might be.
Right.
It's just a testament to the quality of the material that Rolex uses, when they're putting together their watches. So, and again, it's yes, a platinum Rolex, a platinum Daytona, you're going to want to be a little more precious with, but for just a steel, whether it's a 116520 or, a GMT on an Oyster that has, the polished underlinks or whatever it might be, like, you don't really need to worry about banging that watch up or scratching it. Like, it's just, I don't know, I'm a huge advocate for, wearing your stuff, not being too precious with it, and then if something does need to be taken care of, you have it taken care of,
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. And I always advocate for watches should be worn.
Yeah.
Jordan Krause, where's Zach? He's coming. We're going to get there. We're working, we're still working in a shared space right now. This is also a conference room. This is also an office.
Yeah.
This is many things. And so we don't have the full space and the setup we'd like to do to actually have almost like panel discussions and get more of the staff involved, but it is coming. 2024.
Yeah, we're in the process. We're working through it now, and actually, we're going to be shooting a video tomorrow where you'll get to see a lot more of the staff. They'll be involved.
So social media, Alex, give us Zach or give me death. All right.
Zach. Either Zach has a bunch of aliases on Instagram.
He's paying people off.
He's got a bot farm somewhere, and he's paying people to comment for him. That's hilarious. All right.
You know what I wanted to do, and I don't know if you want to go back and do this, and you guys might not care, but I actually wanted to not only talk about this stuff, but also ask, which way would you go?
Okay.
So if we were to go back, where'd we start? I don't remember.
We started with the Royal Oaks.
If we went back to Royal Oaks and we looked at the 14790 versus the Bling Master, which way would you go?
Are we saying cost no option, or what are we?
Yeah, which do you prefer? Would you be happy with this watch, or is it the bling bling or bust?
I mean, with the AP, I am very happy with the mid-size 4100 ST. I wear it all the time. It's a great piece. But if I'm given the option, I am absolutely going with that rainbow. It's so ridiculous, but it's so good.
It's really well done.
Yeah,
it's
incredible.
not tacky,
No.
right? It's not tacky. It's really well done. For me, in this case, I actually would join you in the 14790.
Really?
I feel like there's character here.
For sure.
There's a different level of character, right? This has that vintage personality. It has the charms and the quirks that come along with that. And I have always appreciated that. And I love the bling.
Yeah.
I would love to get something with some diamonds on it just for when I want to be ridiculous.
That's on the list for sure.
But in this case, I would stick with that.
Okay.
And then after that, we had done pilot's watches. And in this case, I would go up.
Really?
I would want that Patek.
Interesting.
Even though it is a weird, strange watch. It's weird on the wrist with all those crowns. It's functions that I'll never use.
True.
I mean, I might use the dual time, but I would never use the alarm. But it's just an absolutely incredible bit of watchmaking.
It is.
And I think in terms of Patek Philippe and all that, you can't do better than that.
David, did we just lose something? We're only on this camera right now.
Try switching us back.
Switch us. Sorry, everybody. We're there we go. We're back. I would, for those two, for the pilot, I'm going to go the same way, Rob. I really like the aesthetic of the big pilot, but it doesn't wear well on my wrist, and believe it or not, I think the Patek is actually smaller and would wear better than the Pilot. Also, like, how can you say no to an alarm with gongs? You know?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. To me, it's like it's also like it's a chiming watch. It's a Patek chiming watch that is at a better price point than like a repeater. But as the repeaters, you're adding another 100 or
Easily,
200K to it without batting an eye.
But I will say that if it was a more fair comparison, and we were doing the 5522 to the 43 mil Big Pilot, I'm probably gonna go the Big Pilot at that point.
No, I like the 5524.
Okay.
I just like it on different straps. I know. I don't like the 22. I don't get it, but that's
what?
Neither here nor there. That'd be a good Pilot watch one. Rolex GMT. Then we just did Daytonas.
Yeah.
I'm definitely taking the steel Daytona.
So am I.
I think for me, the precious metal Daytonas are super duper cool, and I really appreciate them. But if I was going to wear a Daytona, I want an old school steel Daytona.
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, and the older the better.
I was going to say I would prefer a Zenith, something from the 80s, but yeah, really, really nice piece.
All right, so now that we've done that, we'll try to keep doing that.
And we should ask people too. If you guys have opinions, let us know.
We are watching. I am watching actively, waiting for your comments. All right, you pick.
All right, let's do Speedies now, I think. We did Daytonas, we'll go to Speedmasters. We'll go to
the other chronograph.
Exactly.
The other white meat.
So we put together our list of, categories or whatever that we wanted to cover. And when we put Speedmaster on there, we were looking through our inventory to see, roughly what is the cheapest, what's the most expensive one. And this absolutely blew me away. So this is the budget option, Speedmaster.
It's going to go upside down while I play with this,
and
but
this
I just want to make the hands pretty.
This is a reference 3590.50 from 1986. And it's actually one of our colleagues here. He traded the watch for, to get into something else. He made it, and he made a great trade.
It was worth it for what he took, but it always pains us, like all of us at the shop. Like whenever we have to make a trade because the opportunity is right or the right watch comes in, something you've been looking for, it's like it's always a little bit painful.
So painful.
So like I always say, for the trades I've made, I don't regret anything, but I miss those watches.
100%. I was just telling you
5513 that
yeah,
I really miss.
I was just telling you yesterday that I missed my Speedy Moon. You know what I mean? My full set.
One.
I had a really good one. But again, I miss it. I don't regret it. But anyway, so our colleague traded this watch. Again, 1986. Just
plastic crystal,
gorgeous patina on the dial. It's got that old school, older style Speedmaster bracelet. With a smaller clasp. It's super comfortable on the wrist, nice and light, and it just has it's another watch that has so much, just feel to it. You know what I'm saying? And we're listing it for $5,500.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I would take this over any modern Speedy.
Agreed. It's so much watch, and it has just so much great vintage feel and vibe. I'm a huge, huge fan of this piece.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Speedmaster. Everybody knows how a Speedmaster wears. It's really good. I'm kind of jonesing for a Speedmaster. I've been on a big space kick and stars and yeah. So I'm kind of jonesing for a Speedmaster right now. And this, for me, this is exactly what I'd want. Although the ideal Speedmaster is, there's a reference. I think it's 3-4. That might be the Speedy Moon reference. Never mind. I'm not going to.
348.
0809. Is that Speedy Moon?
No.
No. So maybe the 0809 is the one I'm thinking of, where it was the first display back Speedmaster, and you get a plastic crystal on the front, which to me is absolutely key. You have to have the plastic crystal on the front, and you get sapphire on the back.
Oh,
that to me, because I am not a fan of the sapphire on the front of a Speedmaster. For me, it just kind of loses something. So, pause Speedmasters, because I want to reply, while you're looking that up, I want to reply to Acosta Valdez, and I hope I parsed that correctly. Is the IWC Mark Series good quality for its price point? I would say yes, absolutely. 100%. I do like the Mark Series. I like some better than others. The ETA powered ones I think are very good.
Yep.
I think the new ones are in-house. The Mark 20 is
They are in-house now, yeah.
right?
Yep.
Which is very
That was
good.
2 years ago, I think.
There's a Mark in between that has a Salida movement in it, which is, it's a good movement. It is a Swiss-made movement.
Yep.
But in my opinion, when you move into the Salida movements, you're sacrificing the quality at that point. I'd rather have the ETA version in that case. But other than that, and again, this is like coming from our point of view of being crazy watch people. You guys might own a Salida movement IWC and never ever have problems with it because again, it is a good Swiss movement. But if it was me, I'd be looking for an ETA powered one.
But again, like so the Mark line, there's so much variety and there's so many options. You know, no matter what your price point is, you know, whether you can get the Salida for cheaper, and if you don't care, if you don't mind that it has a Salida movement, you know what I'm saying? If that's not important to you, then by all means buy that one, you know, because it's just a great way to get into a really nice
piece. As the Pilot Chrono as well. So you could kind of in that same ballpark move into like the Pilot Chronos that have the 7750 base, which is also, those are great watches too. That's
really
actually one of the watches I kind of fell in love with in the beginning of my watch journey was that old school IWC Pilot Chrono. 3706 is a good watch.
And I will say the 345.08.09, that is the Speedy Moon. So I don't know, I can't remember the reference of what you're
I can't remember that one. It's that same era. It's the same era as the original
It was
Speedy
the late
Moons,
80s,
late 80s, early 90s. And that's a great watch.
All right, so the baller option for the Speedmaster here is this guy. So this is platinum with meteorite subdials. Let me find the deets on this guy. So this one's listing for $51,500. So complete opposite end of the spectrum. You know, some people will think it's absolutely insane that you can, or that someone would consider spending 10x for a Speedmaster. You know what I mean?
But there's a lot going on here.
There is.
There's a lot going on here. Do you want to tell us about it?
Go for it. No,
do you get to talk?
No. I'm okay.
So
I just like giving you a hard time.
I don't want you to feel marginalized here. So we have a platinum case, of course, which is a very different kind of thing. We have what I believe is a lacquer dial. It's very glossy. I'm trying to get it in the light so that it like, you're just getting the anti-reflective coating on the crystal. But it's got this inky black, beautiful dial. And then you get meteorite subdials, which, I mean, it's a moon watch. Come on. Yeah. Come on. That was begging to be done.
It's kind of hilarious that it took that long to include.
And then you get the new 321 caliber, which has that copper finish on it, like the old school ones, going back to the column wheel chronograph. And from what I understand, this movement was a real labor of love because they like took an old.
Yes.
Oh, I believe the dial is onyx. If that's legit and that's onyx with the meteorite, that is. I mean, Time Light Mind knows his stuff.
He does.
So I am inclined to believe that he knows that that is onyx.
But for the 321, so like you're saying, Omega actually took a vintage movement, completely disassembled it, laser scanned it, and then used those scans to basically reproduce, you know, shot for shot, every single component of that original 321 movement.
Yeah.
There you go. I was going to say, get that rolling.
We'll start the chrono. It's really cool. It's very, very cool. And I think that these movements have a lot more handwork in them. That's part of the reason a lot of these companies got away from the column wheel chronograph is that the standard lever chronograph is easier to manufacture and service and doesn't require quite as much handwork.
Right.
So there is definitely something there, and that's why those Ed Whites that have that 321, you know, you look at the new Ed White, and that's a 18K retail, something like that?
Right. We sell them for over 20. You know?
Yeah. They sell very quickly and very easily.
Yeah. Those are great pieces.
But it's like that's why there's that huge retail jump. Because I remember a lot of people talking about when that came out. When that came out, they everybody was like, "Man, that's so expensive for a steel Speedmaster.
Right.
Nobody's going to pay that." Blah 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 blah. But I think when you know what goes into that movement, you're like, okay, I get it now. This isn't just the 1861 or the 1863, whatever the new one is.
So Acosta Valdez just said he just bought a 92 Speedy, which is what we were referring to. So the 3592.50, which was the sapphire caseback with the Hesalite front crystal.
Oh, you've got good taste, my friend. You know what's good. That is such a good watch. And then some of them have they have the tritium dials, obviously, and you get nice patina, natural patina, and everything.
Looks
those
amazing.
Those are my speedies.
When you find a good one, when you find a nice one, they're so good. You
so
know?
I feel like you and I are on the same page with this one. So I want to ask the good people of Instagram: is anybody buying this? Is anybody like, man, that platinum speedy is where it's at? Like, you know, regardless of whether you have the means or not to buy this. Would you? Would this be something you would lust after? Are you really interested
I think, you know, that watch is for like the devoted speedy collector. You know what I'm saying? Who has, you know, every you know, vintage reference, who has, you know, every limited edition, you know, funky, interesting, you know, anniversary edition, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because there are so many affordable, you know, really interesting.
Well, I was going to say, you could build a collection of nothing but Speedmasters and have such a diverse, I mean, obviously they'd all be Speedmasters, but the diversity within...
What?
Yes, send it to me. The diversity within the Speedmaster lineup and the kind of, like, you think about Alaska Project, you think about
well, you have all the new
the Snoopies.
You have the Moonshines now, you know, on the gold versions.
The gold with the burgundy.
You have the Canopus, you know. Then you have all the vintage references. You have all the funky, like we're just talking about, you know, the Speedy Moon, you know, all the old Snoopies, you know, the Apollos, all those different things, the Soyuz, like there's so much there.
Oh, cool. So his Acosta Valdez, his 1992 Pieces of Birth Year watch. That's an awesome thing when you can find it. It's really tough sometimes to find a watch that's the condition and the quality you like and the birth year. So when all that comes together, it's pretty good.
Mine was, and it sold it.
Justin's going to cry in his beer for a minute. And then we have, I don't have any Speedy, but I can tell you that's a nice watch. I can agree with you. It is really, really nice. Yeah, cool. I would gladly wear it, but sure. I wouldn't necessarily choose it for my kind of collection over something like that.
You know what I will say about this, too, is that I usually hate Speedmasters on straps. It just doesn't make sense to me. But
oh, I do. I like
you like
Speedy
it?
on a strap.
I don't know. I've said it before, but I'm a huge advocate for buying the best expression, like the purest expression.
Most iconic.
Yeah, the purest expression of a model, of a thing, whatever. Yeah. And for me, that's a steel Speedmaster on a
well, it's the same thing with the steel
bracelet.
Daytona versus the Plat Daddy, right? It's that same kind of thing.
Similar but different. But like this, Speedmasters on straps, they just for whatever reason, unless it's like one of the NASA Velcro straps, it doesn't work for me. But this one, I actually really like the way it looks. I don't know if it's the geometry, the width of the strap, and I don't even know what the hell it is, but it works really well.
You know what's funny? I finally got my moon swatch.
Oh yeah,
I got a hold of one. I got Pluto, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. And I thought the first thing I would do is get rid of that Velcro strap. I like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
I like the Velcro. I'm actually keeping it on the Velcro.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Wow, it's 5:43.
All right, we're getting there, though.
Holy
we have a couple more to go. We're good.
Tourbillionaires?
Yeah, let's go Tourbillons.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so, as I mentioned in the beginning, the budget Tourbillon. I mean, what are we going to call budget? What are we going to call, that's why we're not using the term affordable, because that's different for everybody, right? What's affordable to one guy, not to the next.
Right.
But in terms of, tourbillons that I think represent value, we start with this guy.
And I think, so,
Keep forgetting I have to go.
That's okay.
Upside down so that you guys see it right side up.
So honestly, I had never seen this until we got this piece in last week, I guess. I didn't even know that this version existed.
I had seen photos of it. I'd seen it on IG, but I'd never handled one until we got this one out.
Yeah. Let me pull up details on it because I'm woefully underprepared today.
So this is a 7-day movement. This is from the Portuguese family, which all is pretty obvious because there's a 7-day power reserve there. But needless to say, because they do make pilot tourbillons.
They do.
I don't know if they ever made a Portofino tourbillon, but they do make pilot tourbillons. They probably did make some ridiculous Ingenieur tourbillon thing when they were kind of lost for a little while there. IWC
all right, so official model name,
but...
Portugueser Tourbillon Mister. The IW 504202, limited edition of 250 pieces total.
So IWC, this is kind of very stereotypical of their designs. We have a much bigger case, we have a thicker case, because we do have a 7-day power reserve. I believe these are 2 barrels in these, right? Or is this one massive barrel?
I think it's one huge one, but
I don't remember.
I don't know.
But it's very much similar. Like if you had a Portuguese 7-day on your wrist and you bought this watch and you put this on, you would feel right at home.
Yeah. It's that classic 44-ish size, diameter.
I really like the exposed plate around the tourbillon. You have a flying tourbillon, which means that there is no bridge on the top of the tourbillon.
Hence the Mystère name.
If you're used to seeing, who is it that has like that big beautiful bridge? Breguet, right? Don't they do like a nice big black polish bridge over the top of the tourbillon? So those are not flying turbies. This is considered a flying turby because there's nothing anchoring the turby from the top. And
Visibly,
to be honest with you, I don't know how they do that either. Like, how do you have that so that it doesn't like just come right off the pivot there? It's pretty cool. And you get a 60-second turby. Why it has the seconds hand as well, I'm not sure. That's always been a weird thing for me with tourbillons. Why do we need a seconds hand?
Doesn't make sense.
If you can switch that camera. Why do we need a seconds hand and a tourbillon on the same watch?
I honestly,
always thought that was a little weird.
Even visually on that specific piece, I think it would look really nice without that running seconds at 9 o'clock.
And to just
if that was just blank and there was just a 9 there, and you just had the power reserve down at between 3 and 5, like that would look super sharp.
Yeah.
So again, for reference, we're asking 32.5 for this, and honestly, we've sold a few tourbillons for less. We've had a tag turb before.
We did.
I want to say. Do we have a Blancpain turb that was less? A Le Mans turb that was cheaper?
I don't know where those would be now. There was a time when the Le Mans
cheap.
turbs were right around 20K. And those are very interesting because those are steel, right? Like who else makes a tourbillon in a steel case? The owner, Albert, has a few steel Blancpain tourbillons that he wears with regularity because they have a screw-down crown.
Yeah, super durable.
And they actually, the tourbillon cage is made out of steel as well.
Well, the best part about both of those pieces that he has is their serial number 1, both of them.
Yeah.
So one black dial, one white dial, super, super cool. So yeah, again, 32 grand is not, short money, but in the world of tourbillons, especially when we're going to...
The retail for this was probably $100,000, right?
I want to say it was probably...
I would
guess... I don't know. Do you think so? I guess I can't pull it up right now.
Let me see if I'm logged in.
I would have guessed maybe in the 80K range, but we'll see. While he is looking, I'll introduce the piece that we're going to move to next. So the baller option when it comes to tourbillons, and when it comes to tourbillons, like most tourbillons are pretty baller, but this one is just super special. You got it? We
have retail for the IWC in at $95,000.
So not a 6-figure watch. I think I might have been right there.
Yeah, but...
No, I know. It's still expensive, but like you're saying...
With tax, by the time you pay the tax...
What if I live in New Hampshire? Okay, come on.
Well...
But you're right. So for a third of retail, you can get yourself into a...
into a tourbillon. From a world-class manufacturer.
Right.
And... Yeah, it's a lovely watch. It's really very cool. Nothing bad to say about it.
No.
If you can handle the size, it's great.
Sure.
Some people will say it's too big.
44 is too big, and I think it's 14 mil thick or something like that.
Thick.
So it's
7 days.
It's a little big.
7 days. So, the other end of the spectrum. One of the first watches introduced by Lang & Son back in 1994.
So, yeah, exactly. Part of that first collection.
The Pour La Marie tourbillon.
Yep.
This has the bridge on the front. So this is not flying. This has its wings clipped, I suppose. But we have a tourbillon, and we have a fusee and chain mechanism in here, which is an old pocket watch thing, which, like a remontoire, has to do with equal distribution of power. I'm going to try to show this, and because of the extreme
I think
zoom,
you got it.
It gets a little quaky. But
so guys, look, if you're, obviously, yeah, there you go. So in that aperture over on the left-hand side of the screen right now, you can see that wheel and the tiny little chain. You can see it. Oh, there you go. Actually, nice. And you can see the chain moving as Rob winds that crown, and that wheel.
Yep. So you have like a snail cam, which will be this guy, and then you have the chain, which is loaded here I believe on the, I don't remember which one is the barrel.
Barrel's on the top of the screen right now.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
And so, no, it's good, David. We're good.
Yeah.
And so not only is that a very cool, very high-end manufacturing technique, but in terms of like, you know, I had a philosophy professor in college who his favorite question to ask was, who cares? Like literally, like why do we care that this has this tiny little bicycle chain that's probably like, you know, a couple hundred parts by itself just to make that little chain.
Yeah, it is.
And then like built into this movement. And this is not a big watch.
No.
This is not a big watch.
Dimensions.
So who cares? To me, just the experience of winding this, of winding
It's so
any of these
satisfying.
Longa PLMs is just absolutely incredible. And, you know, these, they made a very set number of movements. I'm going to try and leave it here so y'all can watch that tourbillon and get hypnotized for a moment. They made a very set number of movements, and then there are some, you know, there was a certain number in yellow, certain number in white, certain number in platinum. And then there's a couple of very interesting, unique dials, some of which have come up for auction. I highly recommend digging into these if you're into stuff like that. There's a lot of cool information on these out there. Part of the 1815 family, which I also like, very pocket watchy dial. Blued hands with the yellow gold is great.
I mean, it's just it's classic Longa. You know, it's that super Germanic, almost austere dial and aesthetic, but then you have that. I mean that. I mean honestly, if I owned this watch, I would just stare at it all freaking day. Like that tourbillon is gorgeous. You know,
like for me, this is no competition. I often am the guy who's like, oh, I'd be very happy with the normal watch. I don't need the crazy stuff. This to me is worth every single penny.
And I think the added, you know, the added kind of like history and significance of this.
Look how thin that is.
Of this piece being a part of Longa's initial collection when they relaunched the brand, you know, it's just, I don't know, it was such a statement piece for Longa, you know, when they came back, you know, they you know, needed to kind of make a splash and reestablish themselves on the world stage, and this was one of the, you know, what was it, 4 or 5 pieces that they debuted, and it's like, oh,
very small.
Damn, you know, yeah, Longa's back, you know, it's the amount of skill and engineering that goes into just like you just said, that fusee and chain, which is, you know, a couple hundred components just in that one little piece. It's just it's an absolute like powerhouse of a watch, and it's 38.5 millimeter. Like it is small. It's just super wearable. It sits really nicely on the wrist.
Did you say 38.5?
38.5.
So typical, it's like a Longa 1.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's same dimensions as a Longa 1, but incredibly more complicated. And anybody who knows watches knows that smaller is more expensive.
Yeah.
Because it's harder.
It's way harder, yeah.
Right? So like when you see the IWC Tourbillon or even the IWC Minute Repeater, they're in good size cases, almost pocket watch size. And part of that is what allows them to make it at the price point that they do.
Exactly.
Then when you see the Paddock stuff and they're doing it in like a 36, 37 mil case, it's like, whoa, that's why that's expensive. So that's why this was expensive then. It's still expensive now. And I actually know why this has a seconds hand on it.
Enlighten me.
So Longa was more interested in the chronometry and the accuracy of the watch, and they did not have a seconds hand, and they did not have room to put a track around the tourbillon. So they didn't want to put a seconds hand on it because there was no track for you to be able to read how accurate it was. So they said, we're going to have a seconds hand with a railroad track so that you could actually understand the accuracy of your watch.
Again, that's so German.
It is, right?
You know?
It's very German.
This piece, so I don't know if we said it, so the price on this guy, I think is 200, hold on, let me find it, 208 right now, which it's a ton of money, but when you look at what these things go for, and what early Longas, early complicated Longas, and PLMs go for, like, it's, I don't know if I can say that it's a deal, but it's a deal. Also, this one's gorgeous. This has like crazy patina on that yellow gold.
It's really good.
It's really, really nice.
It's really,
I love
really good.
One of my favorites.
I'm shocked we still have that.
I am too. We've had it for far too long.
I'm really shocked. All right, we have 5 minutes left.
Let's finish
Did we
up.
miss any comments?
I'll look. Why don't we let's do dive watches, because that is probably the most ridiculous comparison right there.
Yeah, I like that one too. We'll end with that.
And then we can always do more. It's at a later date or whatever.
Let me take this.
All right, so we're gonna do high-low for dive watches. Obviously, it's a massive category. Everybody, you know, every single brand makes a dive watch, and there's at all price points there are some pretty incredible options out there. So for the budget option, David, you want to switch us over to the close shot? We're going to go, or our choice was the Tudor Black Bay. This is the classic Black Bay. You know, obviously now you can go with the 54 and the 58. This is just the regular Black Bay.
This is the 41 millimeter.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know,
but
it
this
is the updated
new
one.
movement. Yep.
Right.
Shield logo.
So in-house, you know, in-house movement and that rivet style bracelet. So this one is $2,950. So $2,950. You know, to be honest, for less than $5K, you cannot do better anywhere. I think, you know, for a more versatile, more you know, just quality of construction, quality of materials.
Tudor's been giving Omega a real run for their money.
I totally agree.
In terms of that kind of, I want my first nice watch, you know, market place.
I
Because,
mean, if I was in that position, if I was in that position right now, and I was looking to spend, say, $3,000 or less, I am absolutely buying some variant of a Black Bay over almost any Seamaster. I can't think of any Omega that I'm going to spend $3,000 on over a Tudor right now.
What about a nice used Speedmaster?
You want to just complicate things? Yeah.
I do. So, yeah, these are so solid though. And most people, if I get that question, if I get the, hey, I want to buy my first watch, I've got a couple $1,000, what do I buy? I point them in either Tudor or Omega very confidently because like it's good stuff. It's a good watch. Even at 41, it sits well on the wrist. You own one.
I did.
You owned one
that
for
was
a
actually
while.
honestly that was. I don't remember if it was my first actual like real watch that I bought for myself, or if there was an Omega before that. I did have a Speedmaster at around the same time. But yeah, no, I mean I had the original Black Bay. I loved it. It was just too big on my wrist, so I traded it for other things and moved on. But before we run out of time, we gotta show off the baller option in the dive watch category.
Yep. And we thought since we had a blue Black Bay, we should tie it in with some blue here. This is the Rolex Sabre.
There you go. So diamonds and sapphires just pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, lugs, crown guards, bezel, but not the dial.
Which, you know what?
Not the dial, because you need the lume underwater.
Clearly.
You need, when you are diving and it's dark, you need to know what time it is.
When you need to stun on some fish, here you go. But honestly, like, I was thinking about that actually. If I would prefer this with a pave dial or with that blue dial, and I actually like the blue.
Everything else is very standard.
Yeah, it's
white
I mean, whatever. It's a white gold sub, but like, come on.
When you fall in the fish tank at the club.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah, when you're in Miami and you, But I mean, actually, don't like barracudas and things. Don't they go after shiny objects underwater? So I don't know.
I was talking about that. There was a diver who used to wear like a gold Rolex sub, and apparently it caused him many problems with stuff like that, like fish who were like
attacking.
Hey, shiny object. Yeah, like the magpies of fish, I suppose. This one is not for sale, but these typically are like $1.25, like 125, 130, somewhere around there. It's a really pretty watch. I had a customer asking me on the last one we had, why did they take the depth rating off the dial? And I found that to be a really interesting question.
Yeah.
Because maybe they don't want you to dive with it.
But wasn't it, I thought didn't you get the answer?
We didn't.
Oh.
We actually didn't find out what was going on there. The best guess that I had was that Rolex didn't want to say that it was waterproof to 300 meters because say you were down there and one of the stones popped off and is laying at the bottom of the trench or something, and you go to Rolex and you're like, hey, I was diving with it, it says it's good, stones are falling off, fix my watch.
That's ridiculous though, because if the watch didn't flood, it's still rated to, the depth rating still stands.
Right.
The rating is not, rated to 300 meters of diamond integrity.
So how much pressure do you have at 300 meters? Are the stones going to start just like boom, boom?
So what are you saying? That Rolex is actually using CZs and glass on the instead of diamonds?
Well, no, the settings, like the tension, because the settings are on tension.
I know.
I know something.
I'm giving you a hard time.
I know something. Oh. All right. It is the 11th hour.
Yeah, we're done.
I think we're all
wrapping it
done.
up.
I think we've got to everybody. Love.
I didn't understand that
What does that
comment.
say?
I don't know. It's okay.
Red tone on the face of the
I don't know.
light.
Are you saying that I have a red face?
Light slip.
Oh, David, we lost. There we go. We're back.
Show
anyways.
the Debatoon Grand Blue. Ah,
We
run
did
out of
last
time.
week. We did last week.
But we showed
Where
that
were
last
you?
week.
Come
so
on.
watch the stream from last week. It's
Actually,
a
yeah.
sick watch.
Yeah, we did all indies last week, which was fun. So, I don't know. This was the first time we did the high-low idea. If you guys have ideas on other categories that we can talk about, or ways that we can even build out, a high-low kind of focus, let us know. We really, come on, it's just the two of us here. We're running out of ideas. We want to know what you guys want to see. We'll go back to doing, some more new arrival stuff, in the near future. But we're having a lot of fun doing kind of more themed, streams. So if you guys have ideas, let us know, because we're all ears over here.
Well, it was fun. Thank you all for joining us. Until next week, cheers.
Cheers, everybody. See you later.